Broadcasting with hosts John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? John Impemba here with Colby, Conway. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook Show here, breaking down Monday's 8-game main slate. Colby, my friend, how was your weekend?
Oh, John, there was some football on. I didn't like some of the end results, but it is what it is at this point. As a Texans fan, you come to kind of just accept your fate on Sundays and you go for it. But you know what? Now it's an 8-game slate of baseball here on Monday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, 8 games. So listen, side football tangent here. At least if I was a Texans fan, like you have the opportunity to be excited about watching Stroud and Tank Dell and like some of these young players that you drafted and hope could be the future, leaders of a successful team. Or whereas a Patriots fan, I really only have Mac Jones. And while Mac Jones has looked good at times, there's other times where he just doesn't look like the guy that's going to be him. And the rest of the team sucks. They're old. They're unexciting. There's nobody that I turn into every Sunday. It's I want to see what this guy's going to do this week. That doesn't exist for me. At least as a Texans fan, you could do that with Stroud or Dell and be get excited about about what could be, rather than knowing that there's nothing's happening.
I genuinely appreciate your optimism. I'll take it.
You're welcome. All right, baseball things aside here, before we jump into breaking down the DraftKings slate here, we'll go shout out to our friends over at RT Sports. If you go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23, new users who sign up will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. You can scan the QR code there on the screen, or check it out again. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. They have DFS Pick'em. They have weekly DFS contests as well that you can partake in. Use that deposit bonus match to help you turn and do some real cash there and make a little money each and every day over at rtsports.com. So again, check it all out for those of you who have interest. Talking about this 8-game slate here, Colby, no weather concerns. Always a plus on an 8-game slate. We do have Chicago, Washington, Philly, Atlanta, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Boston, Texas, Baltimore, Houston, Seattle, Oakland, Colorado, San Diego, and Detroit, and the LA here are the Dodgers closing out the slate. Some interesting price points. I think there's going to be some obvious chalk spots on an 8-game slate as well. Talking about your overall impressions when it comes to this pitching position here.
There's a lot of good ones. That is for sure. But then you got some of the good ones going up in tough matchups. Like Verlander hasn't quite been himself per se. It's a tough matchup against Baltimore. I think in GPPs you might be able to go with him. But Wheeler's got Atlanta, carved him up earlier in the year. Not so much the last time out. 8 games here with Freddie Peralta only being $400 more than the next lowest guy. I think he's very much in play tonight in a very good matchup against the Cardinals. And then after that, value with SP2. I'm looking down in the Brian Wu as my SP2 here tonight.
Yeah, I think you'll find that's where a lot are going today. When I did the podcast this morning, I really only had 4 pitchers that I was looking at. Freddie Peralta was someone I was willing to spend up for just because of the elite strikeout potential. Michael Wacha was my next guy here at $8,900. Again, I know he's had some struggles of late, even faced Colorado and had a so-so outing there, but we know Colorado tends to strike out. Outside of this 3 strikeout performance against LA, he's been pretty consistent in that 5-6 range. I know he's going to throw a lot of pitches, and there's some real win equity behind him here. So at $8,900, I liked Michael Wacha, and he is one of the highest projected starting pitchers on the slate. The highest projected pitcher on the slate, and it's always dangerous when we go here, is Lance Lynn. Almost over 40% of the field is looking at Lance Lynn tonight against Detroit. Again, we know he can be an elite strikeout pitcher, but what's happened lately? 3, 1, 1, 1, 3. I mean, this is the guy early in the year, 16, 11, 7, 7, 6, 6. The strikeouts have seemingly disappeared for Lance Lynn, but again, a win equity spot here with the Dodgers against the Tigers. How do you feel about 40% of the field being in on Lance Lynn? Will you be part of the 40% or not part of the 40%?
I don't know. I think a case can be made for it, just given over the last 2 weeks. I mean, Detroit striking out a ton against righties, and every other number is not very positive for them against right-handed pitching. So I think you can do it. I think for me, if I'm going one lineup, I don't think Lance Lynn's going to be in it. I'm willing to go against the 40% that are going with Lance Lynn. I really like the Freddie Peralta, Brian Wu build with those two. I really like that. If you're going multiple lineups, I will probably get some Lance Lynn in there, because if there's a chance for a ceiling strikeout game for Lance Lynn, you would have to think it comes against this iteration of the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I would largely agree with you there as well. Brian Wu coming off of one of his best starts of the season, 4 5 2/3, 4 hits allowed, shutout baseball, 8 strikeouts, no walks against LA was a really encouraging. Love that we got 83 pitches out of him. I know that's been kind of a cap for him. He doesn't get much higher than 90, but any pitcher that tends to go up against Oakland finds themselves among the chalkier pitchers on the slate, and Wu here is no different. Third highest projected player overall. We talk a lot. The one thing that you got to worry about with him is lefties, but if you look at the A's, like Ryan Noda, Brown, they have some lefties, but they don't really have lefties you're too worried about. So, I'm in full on agreement with you here. I think that there's a case to be made for Wu to be a core play today. Nobody is getting to Peralta, though, which is I feel like a little surprising. I know that a lot of people like the mid tier, but when you're looking at the starting pitcher position and looking to spend up, we have under 10% getting to Freddie Peralta. Verlander is your highest spend up pitcher at just over 10%.
Verlander, I think, is the interesting one, because when you look, while he has struggled a little bit, he's been good against left-handed hitters, even amongst his struggles here in Houston, to the tune of 200 batting average allowed, 27% strikeout rate. And when you think of the Baltimore lineup, it's largely lefties that are going to come to mind for you. So I think Verlander is interesting if you're doing multiple lineups. Another thing I think is very intriguing tonight, if you don't pay up for a starter in terms of one of the big boys, can you get enough from Michael Wacha to essentially be your SP1 if we're going to say that Wu is your second starter? Right. Can a Wacha Wu, 2 dubs as your pitchers, put you in the green tonight? Yeah, I think it's possible.
If they do that, Brian Wu just gave you 30 fantasy points. He gave you 25 here against Oakland in his last start against them, shut them out over 6. So, I think both of those guys are doable to get into the 20 fantasy point range, and that's what you're looking for. Because after that, you have Sears against Seattle, which actually some people are getting to. Means made his debut, went 5 innings, 3 earned, 1 strikeout, not overly impressive. Don't want to run him against Houston anyways. Cutter Crawford, Kyle Wright made his debut with limited innings. Joe Adon, Ty Block, Adam Wainwright. There's really no value here that sticks out to me, so it's Wu. We gave Clevenger a try in his last start against Kansas City. He came through, got the loss, but 6 innings, only 2 earned, 7 strikeouts. Would you give Clevenger a look against Washington?
I think you can. I don't know. It's one of those things where it have to be like multiple lineups that you're building, because it's hard to look at this and say, yes, I'll take Clevenger against Washington when for $400 less I can get Brian Wu against Oakland. It's going to have to be a multiple build thing, but I don't hate it with Mike Clevenger. This Washington offense isn't very scary. And even though when you look on Saturday, when they faced Corbin Burns, they still put up a couple runs against him, who's a far more talented pitcher than Clevenger. Burns got his fair share with his, I believe it was 9 strikeouts. So it's not like he was devoid of production, but they scratched across 4 runs against Corbin Burns. So I think it's one of those things where if you're doing multiple builds, you can go with Clevenger. But if I'm doing one lineup build for the night, like a single entry, Clevenger's just not going to crack it for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, let's move on over to the catcher position here and talk about some guys we're looking to target. When I did the podcast this morning, I just plugged in Campusano. I didn't even really think of a second catcher to play. A lefty's on the mound and Ty Block. You have Campusano hitting for some power, hitting well lately, 280 batting average, and he's $3,200 on a small slate. Like I said, I didn't really give any other catcher much more than a glance over. Thoughts on the catcher position, man?
Mr. Campusano is the big one that I would go with. William Contreras has a little bit of higher ownership. It's just we typically don't pay up for catcher, so it's a lot of those big boys we kind of look the other way at. The only other one that's not necessarily even interesting, but because a lefty is on the mound, Martin Maldonado hitting 9th for Houston, you could go to him, but Campusano is by far my favorite catcher on the slate. And as when we get to more positions, you'll see I am, like many, a fan of the Padres bats tonight.
Yeah, I think many people will be finding their way to get here this evening as well. I appreciate you, those of you who are tuning in here. If you do have any lineup questions, feel free to throw them in chat. We are more than happy to answer those, Colby and I, and get you guys ready for 7:05 first pitch here to break down the DraftKings slate. Moving on over to first base, where did you find yourself looking to start things off here tonight?
First name I wrote down was Jose Abreu. $4,000. It's very, very affordable. I think he's one, I think point or price per dollar, probably my favorite. Even if you look at some of those other guys, if you're paying up and like up, I think Bryce Harper is my favorite of the top end plays. Just I think he's in a really good spot, and the OPS over 1,000 over his last 10 games, going up against Kyle Wright, who did not look very good in his last outing. So if you're paying up all the way up there, I like Bryce Harper. You can get me with Nate Lowe and Spencer Torkelson in there, but if you're going to drop down from Harper to like Lowe, Torkelson to that tier, I would just keep going down and get Jose Abreu against John Means.
Yeah, that's kind of where I initially found myself going to as well. I like Nathaniel Lowe against Cutter Crawford. Again, Cutter Crawford's had some struggles against left-handed power. I think unfortunately he'll find a lot of that in Texas tonight. So we'll see how well he performs there. But again, on a smaller slate, there wasn't a lot of options. I also threw Bobby Dahlbach out there going up against Montgomery. No Justin Turner in the lineup tonight for Boston. So Dahlbach's hitting seventh. Dahlbach had 33 home runs at AAA. We know he's basically a 4A player at this point. Doesn't really have a lot of major league success, but does have a lot of power. So maybe he can get to Montgomery there in the Texas Heat. But that was about it for me when it came to this position. I guess maybe Gavin Sheets for a one-off power play as well.
I was going to say Sheet just because lefties have given Yohan Adon some problems in the past. Maybe if Garrett Cooper cracks the line, you could look at him, but he's been struggling of late. So first base, I think, is a position I'm not – Bobby Dahlbeck's probably the lowest I would go down, or maybe Dom Smith if you want a lefty against Clevenger. I think you can go with him, but really first base for me, it's like Harper, Lowe, Torkelson, and Abreu are like tiers above the rest of the options.
If Rowdy Tellez plays just for purely playing against Wainwright, maybe I'd give him a look too.
Yep.
And I guess Carlos Santana fits into that bill because I know Santana will play. So I'd play Carlos Santana against Wainwright.
And Santana's been pretty good against righties of late, and Adam Wainwright's been bad against everybody.
Yeah,
so
everybody, exactly. Second base position here, you got Mookie, you got Altuve, so two obvious spend-ups if you wanted to go there. What are your thoughts on Stott here against Wright? Again, Kyle Wright made his debut, was okay. I know Stott's struggling a little bit here, but I did have a couple of hits lately. Any interest here on Stott?
Yeah, I mean, he's been good against righties this year. 333 WOBA, 289 average. He hasn't been great over his last 10, but Philly is an offense tonight that I am very interested in. Not as much as like Padres against Colorado interested, but I really like Stott tonight. I think if you're going to put a couple Phillies in that lineup going against Kyle Wright, he's a very affordable part of that. I mean, yeah, he's 4,600, so it's not like he's overly cheap, but he's hitting fifth. He'll be right outside of the heart of the order. Those guys are going to get on base. I think Stott, honestly, is probably one of my favorite second basemen, if not my favorite. So
yeah, I could get, like I said, he kind of popped out to me as well there in the mid tier. Ahmad Rosario's hit lefties up pretty well. He's $3,700 if you wanted to go there. And then where was the other? Pablo Reyes, homer, got back into the Red Sox lineup. He's $3,200. Another guy that's hitting lefties pretty well for Boston.
Yep, and then I don't think we've gotten that Brewers lineup yet, but if we get Bryce Terang in there, I do like him for his ability to get a little something going against Adam Wainwright, like most of that offense will. And if he does get on base, he's a threat to run, so he can give us fantasy points multiple different ways. Yeah,
24 stolen bags on the year, 6 over the last 10 games. It's pretty encouraging. 2 last game that he played there. Good to see. Third base position, loaded with talent, Riley, Bregman, Devers, Henderson. Your top 4, Machado with the multi-position eligibility at 5K. Where do you find yourself looking to spend up?
I do like Alex Bregman a lot, so he'd probably be the one that I would pay up for. Maybe you could even look at like a Josh Jung. He was activated, so if we do get him in the lineup, maybe first game back, if you just want to try to get him, you could certainly do that. I wouldn't be opposed. If you go down a little bit more at third base, I'll give a shout out to Eugenio Suarez. It just feels like a home run night for him. No particular reason as to why. Just kind of
because this is JP Sears is on the mound. That's why.
That's probably why. You're right. And then I think the value option, if you're going to stack Padres, if we get If we get Matt Batten in the lineup, I do like him. He's got a 448 WOBA with OPS over 1,000 against lefties this year. So if he does crack the lineup, he's a value option, and you can put him at second or third.
Yeah, Batten getting about 10% of rostership again. You mentioned everybody's into the Padres. Machado's your chalk third baseman this evening.
Yeah, and rightfully so, to be honest. I mean, rightfully so.
Bregman. This is saying Bregman right now at 3%. So you want to get a little contrarian in a gamer. Not too bad. I'll throw Kike Hernandez in that mix too. Third base outfield eligibility against Erod. Again, hits lefties fairly well, so could take a peek there for him. Moving on over to the shortstop, as I mentioned, Cutter Crawford with some struggles against lefties here. Corey Seager 67, Trey Turner 63, far and away the top price guys there.
Yep, those are the first two I had written down at shortstop with Seager and Turner, obviously, and Machado in there. I will give a little shout to Xander Bogaerts, only because he's hitting lefties at a very good clip. 8 for 11 this month, small sample size, but dating back to August 1st, 387 average against lefties. Yes, it's another Padres bat. I get it. But he's also one that I would look at. Shortstop tonight is a position I think you're paying up for. If you go down to value, maybe Rafaela against Montgomery just because he's hit lefties pretty well.
Yeah, I love that he's leading off. So I would definitely consider Cedon here. Tim Anderson is actually your highest projected shortstop tonight. Not 100% certain why. Jonah Don maybe just like struggles against weak hitting shortstops, but I don't know. Right now, many people are getting to Anderson. It could be a price point play, but at that point, again, I think I'd find some money for Cedon here. Red Sox with 3 players eligible at short tonight. That's always fun.
Yeah, including Bobby Dahlbeck. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, shortstop just feels like a pay up position. Like the more I look at it and the more you look at the numbers, I think this is a position you're going to have to pay up for with Seager, Turner, or maybe Machado and Bogaerts being the preferred options.
I like it. Listen, Willie Adames is your second projected highest owned shortstop. Again, Adames has that power versus righties, so people are finding themselves getting there. But I'm with you. I'd rather spend down. Seager coming in under 10%, Xander coming in under 7%. So some contrarian plays there. I kind of dig that. And then moving on over to the outfield here, Ronald Acuna back in the lineup, leading off. Hard not to want to find yourself getting there in lineups, even against Wheeler. But Padres are the chalky play there. Tatis is your highest projected rostered outfielder.
Yeah, I'll probably be talking about Tatis in a little bit, to be honest, in one of the little questions we do about this. But of those top tier guys, yeah, I mean, I won't fault you for Acuna, and you got some of those guys there. I love Tatis. Schwarber is going to hit a home run tonight against Kyle Wright, so that's where I'm kind of coming in. And when you look at it, I mean, Schwarber does have 30 homers against righties this year. Kyle Wright stunk against lefties. And Schwarber in this month, actually in September, 361 average against righties with 7 home runs and 36 at bats. So if he makes contact, it's going out tonight. So I like him to hit a home run tonight so we can look at him there. Really outfield, it's outside those top guys. It's a lot of value that I seem to like. One of my favorite ones is Mark Canha at 3,200 against Adam Wainwright. Just because Canha's been so good of late, Wainwright has been so bad, and Canha's been leading off. 993 OPS over his last 10. 3,200 is way, 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 way too cheap for him against Wainwright in this matchup. And then if you're a BVP truther out there, Chris Bryant is 15 for 42 with 4 homers and a 489 WOBA against Michael Wacha for his career. $4,400. I almost would prefer playing him at first base, I think, instead of the outfield if you're not going with the Wacha lines. But Mark Canha at 3,200 is just way too cheap on draft.
I like that. I was checking out some of the rostership percentages here, and he's actually right there among the highest projected on tonight's slate. Jerkson Profar is another one under $3,000 that's getting a lot of love here tonight. We always love Teoscar versus a lefty. He's up over 10%. But that's really it. After that, it's just kind of surprising for a smaller slate. It's for some pretty high concentrated rostership at the top, and then people are just sort of finding what they want to spend the rest of their money on. So outfield is pretty interesting tonight, and I'm curious to see what ends up being the ultimate chalk once these lineups settle and rosters lock here tonight. Our guy Mark is in chat wondering, what 3 Tigers are taking Lynn deep? I mean, that's the question, right? Because Lance Lynn struggles against lefties. But there's no Riley Green. Kerry Carpenter right now is really struggling. So I mean, my best get would still be him, but he's obviously not at his best form. Akil Baddoo, a guy that has a little bit of pop, but also not hitting the ball all that well. Verling's a righty, but he's probably the best current form player. I mean, Parker Meadows isn't really hitting the ball all that well. Torque is a righty. Is McKinstry a lefty?
Yes.
McKinstry's a lefty, not a power guy, but I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts here on the Tigers if you're looking to stack against Lance Lynn tonight?
I think finding that second and third guy is going to be the tougher one. Kerry Carpenter stands out amongst everybody the most for me. So Carpenter would probably be the one I'm most confident. After that, it'd probably be Torque, and then maybe Akil Baddoo, maybe Zach McKinstry. The one I'm most confident with going up against Lance on night would be Kerry Carpenter, despite some of the more recent struggles.
Yep, I would agree with you here. We also have our friend, I see through you in chat here, Goldie and Arenado with the BVP plays here this evening. Any interest in the St. Louis bats going up against Peralta?
It is hard to ignore the BVP, I'll tell you that. Goldschmidt 8 for 21 with 2 homers. Arenado 9 for 22 with 4 homers. So definitely hard to ignore.
I would say the only difference there is like current form Peralta is probably some of the best form of Peralta we've ever seen, really. So, how much of that BVP came against, last year if they faced him 3 times, there's half the ABs when he wasn't very good. So, I would agree with you. The sample sizes are the BVP is better for Goldie and Arenado, but the different pitcher right now. So you could get there. I'm not going to hate there. I think it'll be rather a contrarian tonight. I don't think anybody's playing St. Louis. Let's see teams.
No. If you're going to play one of them, I'd prefer Arenado to Goldschmidt tonight.
Yeah. Let's see. 1%. St. Louis is a 1% stack tonight. So if you want to be different, go St. Louis, 1%ers on an 8-game slate. And if Goldie and Arenado like Homer, you're in. On an 8-game slate. So definitely something to consider there. All right, let's get to our Call of Fame section here. Give me your home run play of the night here, Colby.
I already said it. Kyle Schwarber.
See, I thought you were going to go with Tatis because you mentioned him.
There's another question.
I'm going to go Seager for me tonight. Again, I think Cutter Crawford gets taken yad by Seager here. So I see through definitely 1%. Yeah, 1%er. So make a lineup. Play 3 max 8-game slate. Top stack. And maybe this is where you're referencing the Padres.
Yeah, it's going to be the Padres.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Padres and Rangers for me tonight, and probably Houston as a contrarian play. Doesn't seem like many people are getting to Houston tonight. So top 3 stacks for us there. Do you have a value stack for anybody?
For a value stack, it's an interesting question. I mean, I guess it would, if you can do it, I guess Detroit would be the value stack if you're going to go against Lance Lynn. Other than that, it's not really a value, but maybe it is a bit contrarian just because we haven't mentioned them. I do like stacking Phillies tonight.
Phillies, yeah. Let's see what the Phillies rostership is taking a look at here today. Phillies are coming in. What did I do wrong? I clicked. There we go. Hold on. 1 second. I'm breaking everything here, Colby. Phillies. Here we go.
Stott's at about 9%.
Yeah, under 10%. Schwarber's the highest projected roster at 10%. So that's it's a pretty good one there. I'm seeing what we had Houston clock in at. Yeah, only nobody over 9% for Houston tonight. White Sox. Let's see. White Sox are chalky. Benintendi coming in just under 20%. Anderson, Moncada, Eloy, Robert, Andrews, Vaughn, all over 10% tonight. So people are getting to the White Sox against Jonah Don here this evening.
I get it. Get those lefty bats.
Get the lefty bats in there for sure. Mark saying the 1% St. Louis stack against Strider ago murdered all of his contests. So, yeah, when Strider just got lit up for no apparent reason whatsoever. So it could be. They definitely have the power in that lineup to do damage. So, all right, let's build a lineup here and get out of it. So we're going to go Woo. Are we going Waka?
Yeah, let's go with the 2 dubs.
Okay, Woo Waka, Campusano will lock in a catcher. You like Schwarber. I liked Seager. All right, so that gives us 36.80. You mentioned Abreu. He's down here at 4K. 3,600. Profar was the other value guy down here at 29.
Yeah, I would put Canna in there too.
Canna, love that. Canna works. 32. All right, 4,150 for a second and a third baseman. You felt like third base was a spend out spot.
Yeah.
Do we have? Can we get Machado? 3,300 second baseman would be Reyes or Terang. That kind of fits.
Yeah, I mean,
what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I think Terang should play.
I would imagine Terang plays.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, that's not bad, right? We got a one-off. Abreu, if you wanted to go down from Abreu, we could find some value if you needed to maybe make a move. Let's see. Abreu was 4K. What was the?
Yeah.
Did we have a cheaper guy? Oh, Gavin Sheets. We wanted
or Dahlbeck.
Or Dahlbeck, yeah. I do like going against Means though. He's hitting cleanup, so that fits a lineup for me. Yeah. So Wu, Waka, Campusano, Abreu, Terang, Machado, Seager, Schwarber, Profar, Canna is an example of lineups that we're taking a peek at here. I'm trying to see, is there a way? Probably not. I was gonna see if there's a way to get Seager and Betts in the lineup, but
I was gonna say the only thing that scares me here is not having Tatis.
Tatis. All right, let's see what we can do for Tatis then. We might have to move off Canna. Tatis is 57. That's a 2,500 third.
So Abreu would have to go down.
Yeah, Abreu would have to go down.
So
let's see. Third baseman. What do we want to do here? Suarez is 41.
Or what if? Trying to think. I know I said Schwarber's gonna hit a home run, so I guess we really can't take him out. But
we got Kike. I mean, we could go do something like this. Get 500 balls. We got $3,600. I mean, Moncada's getting play. I mean, he's hitting the ball pretty well. Could get in Moncada here. Actually, Sheets is 26, right?
Yeah. Do we dare drop down from like Waka to like Clevenger?
Let's see. We do that.
I mean, that clears up a good bit of money quick.
$1,600.
And then you get Sheets right back up to Abreu.
Yep. That works. Profar, Tatis in the lineup. Schwarber one off, Seager one off, Moncada, Terang, Abreu, Campusano with Clevenger and Wu. Again, don't hate it. A couple example lineups for the folks at home here this evening. If you have any additional questions, you can find us in the Discord. The playbook's out for everybody who wants to check that out as well. Colby, any final thoughts for the people at home?
No, I think you're going to want to have San Diego bats tonight. And I know we didn't do a build here with Freddie Peralta, but it scares me not having him a little bit.
No one's playing him, so you could definitely be different tonight with Freddie Peralta. But people are living in the mid-tier. And again, 40% of the field is in on Lance Lynn this evening. So if you want to get a little different, you can certainly go ahead and do that as well. That's going to wrap up tonight's show. Everybody will be back tomorrow. Again, tune in the podcast in the morning, live stream at 5. And Colby and I will catch you all later.